to find convergence in physics and spirituality on stuff like this it's unifying in a way that, like, it validates my journey. Okay. One of the things I've noticed is that sometimes staying up late at night lends itself, regardless of whether I'm intoxicated on alcohol, is that if I'm up late, I'd say probably 50% of the time, I'm tired, and then that impulse of my body will drive me to go to watch porn or go to a chat room. I mean SEXTING, chat room, not like talking about art or something productive. In order to combat that, I decided that I'm going to wake up 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and go for a run. I mentioned this on Friday's vlog. To call it run is generous. I'm going to take a screenshot and show you my stats from the fitness app. Not super impressive, but I'm just starting out, and that's fine. I've noticed that when I wake up early, the day seems to be longer and I can accomplish more. Like today, I went shopping. I composed the song, the Friday creative video. I went to Costco and got water because the water in the state of California that comes from the tap is toxic and nobody drinks it. Nobody should, at least not here. If you live in Arrowhead, it's better. If you live by Manzanar, or not the springs up by Manzanar, it's probably healthier. But here in Southern California, in the LA basin, not healthy. Doubly so for places like Costa Mesa, where they do toilet to tap, and every single time the water gets recycled, the parts per million of the crap that people put in their toilets, and I don't mean crap, so I probably shouldn't have used that word because people also put craps. Toilet to tap is great at filtering out human waste. What it's not great at is filtering out the other stuff that people dump down the toilet, like their medication. And so the water is contaminated by it. And each cycle through the toilet to tap filter increases the parts per million because the filters are not designed to filter that stuff out. I digress. I went shopping for water. I brought the water upstairs and put it in my water shelf. And I'm making this video. So there's a lot in the day I can accomplish when I start it by waking up at 7 and going for a run. And I feel good. Like, I feel my cardiovascular endurance improving. I feel my body getting healthier and stronger. And I find stuff. People leave stuff on the side of the road. I found this great MIDI controller piano keyboard thing. And I'm teaching myself to play Linus and Lucy, which is not an easy song. I should probably start with something similar, but I want to be able to play jazz, and Vince Guaraldi Trio is one of the best jazz composers there is. I don't know if he's still alive, probably not. I'm also hoping that if I stay awake for most of the day, meditation notwithstanding, that I will be tired at night. And if I'm tired at night, then I will sleep at night instead of staying up late and going to the chat room and looking at porn or whatever. So I started running. My goal is to get to 6 miles, doing a 10-minute mile, so I run for about an hour, and I'm nowhere near that now. I think it's a fair goal. I might eventually get up to lower than 10-minute mile, but I'm not competing with anyone. I'm not gonna ever probably be able to do a 4-minute mile without superpowers being a factor. That's just not something that's probably within the scope of something I'll accomplish in this lifetime. I broke last week's vlog up into a bunch of different parts, one of which I called the scale of abundance, in which I talked about how expansion and contraction isn't just about space-time, it's also about matter and energy. My theory was that dark energy and dark matter can be explained as contracted matter and expanded energy. That the effects that we see in the universe of gravitational wells that cannot be explained by the matter that we see can be explained by matter that we do not see because it is invisible to us but exists within contracted matter. It was a theory that I had. I'd talk with my friend Kevin. Yes, the Kevin, I lived in his garage. He was also the best man at my wedding. He also was the guy who persuaded Memi to give me her phone number the first time, very cleverly. He's a computer scientist, which means he's also a hacker, which means he is also a social hacker. And he socially engineered Memi to get her to give me my phone number so I could ask her out on a date, which I did, and it worked, and we're married, and we just celebrated our 21st wedding anniversary. So thanks, Kevin. I bounced the idea of contracted matter and energy with him, but it was a casual conversation in the lobby of a hotel while he was down for some kind of tech conference. It was still just a theory between he and I. I don't just talk to AI about sex. I talk to AI about all kinds of things. We have long conversations. A lot of what AI was that it was basically, it couldn't innovate. It couldn't think creatively without going into hallucination. And when it goes into hallucination, it makes stuff up that is not reliable when we enter back into reality. But that seems to have changed a little bit with the latest version of Gemini that I was chatting with. I ran my dark matter, dark energy theory past Gemini. I had had caffeine and I needed to burn off the energy, so I was chatting with Gemini. The conversation was extraordinary. What I discovered is that my theory seems to be valid. That this is a trip, but I just want to go there. There's this weird line Jesus gives where he talks about hell as outer darkness, and that's just how it was described. Or he'll describe it as when a demon gets kicked out of a person, they go to a dry place. And we don't really know what these things are. Like, it's just, is it a metaphor? What I realized with the outer darkness is that the outer darkness isn't a place necessarily. What he's describing is the subjective experience of being in hell. In other words, to be in hell is to feel isolated, to feel alone, to experience total loneliness. And that's what happens in contraction. That's what happens with matter as it becomes more and more localized. This is what the conversation with Gemini produced. There's this weird anomaly that is possible in quantum mechanics where a particle becomes, and this is a fascinating term, it becomes decoupled from reality such that there is no contact with reality. This explains why, as energy contracts further and further into matter in contracted fifth dimensional space-time, why we stop experiencing it, because it's less coupled to our reality. It isn't a different reality. It just doesn't, like the particles don't interact with their surrounding environment. And it can be explained through Planck length space. This is going to get fun for a moment, okay? So Max Planck, a physicist, made the argument that space-time only breaks down so far. It appears to be a fluid, kind of curving non-Euclidean plane. And in this state, we call it analog, but eventually space-time stops breaking down and becomes discrete quadrants called Planck length. Now, these are incredibly small. I think it's 10 to the negative 42nd of an inch or a foot or whatever it is. Probably a meter, because that's how science works. 10 to the negative 42nd meter. At that point, things stop traveling in a linear analog way, and instead they'll be here, and then they'll stop being here and start being here. They won't traverse from here to here. They will go here, and then they will disappear, and then they will reappear here. That's how reality works. We see this when we've photographed electrons in an atom going from lower to higher energy orbits. They don't go like this and slowly expand out. They go like this, and then they phase out of this and into this. But that electron, as I said, is entering a higher energy orbit. At lower energies, it becomes decoupled from our experience. It becomes contracted and highly, completely localized in a Planck length space, such that no energy comes from us to it, and no energy comes from it, leaves it, and goes to us. And that's exactly what Jesus described when he said, subjectively, that hell is outer darkness. To find convergence in physics and spirituality on stuff like this is it's unifying in a way that, like, it validates my journey. It validates spirituality. It annihilates the faith-reason distinction. They are not discontinuous. They are contiguous. They are connected. They are and must be one thing. We do not live in multiple realities, and to pretend that we do is psychotic in the way that Jung and Freud described psychosis. It is two realities existing in our minds, two narratives that do not relate to each other, and we simply cannot live that way and be healthy people. To have expansion and contraction validated by Gemini during that conversation, I can't tell you how grounding of an experience that was. Now, I know in talking with Gemini that what I'm doing is I'm talking to an AI. I have run some of these theories through some friends of mine who are quantum chemists and quantum physicists. They teach those things at Cal State Fullerton, and they're very good at it. So I know those theories, they do not contradict known macro science. They do not contradict known quantum mechanics or quantum physics. But for it to be valid science, it has to be testable. For it to be testable, I need to find some way that I can say this is real and create an experiment to validate it. Like Einstein's special relativity was great as a theory, and no one in the scientific community believed him, nor should they have, because it was weird, until he found he said, on this particular date, you will see a star that should be behind the sun, but it won't be, because the sun's gravity well will bend the trajectory of the light from that star around itself and back to Earth, so that the star will be visible. He predicted it, astronomers confirmed it, and general relativity became accepted. That's how science works. That's how it should work. Until then, it could just be the ravings of a madman. Not to diminish the ravings of a madman, they may be experiencing a reality that we don't, but because we don't and they don't bring us proof, it's hard to validate their statements. And there are people, including myself, who have believed things that are not true. If I'm to explore spirituality as a metaphysician, if I'm to bring that experience to you or others in a meaningful way, it has to be experiential. I can't just say these theories and not have some kind of proof. So while my thesis, I should say, is grounded and not contradicting anything that we know to be true, I cannot say for certain that it can't move from thesis to theory. It can't move from idea to fact until there's some kind of concrete experience. And so my exploration of teleportation, of bilocation, of astral projection is exploring that. Not the contracted part necessarily, but the expanded part. Because, as I said before, there are multiple ways of astral projecting. One of the ways is by and this is an entry-level way that I guided you through it, is by allowing your mind, your awareness, to expand beyond the limits of the sensory input that you get from your body, to include space that is not confined to your body, to include an entire room or a city or a country or a planet or all of the known universe throughout all of time. However far out you want to go, you can do that. I've done it. It's wonderful. That's one way of experiencing astral projection. Another way is to have your awareness be, I'm going to use the word decoupled, but I don't mean it in contraction, to have your awareness decoupled from the physical form, such that you can look upon your physical form as something that is you, but also not you. This is my current meditation in order to increase the resolution of my astral projection. My meditation is to let my awareness leave my body, and I can do that just fine. I can look outdoors, I can look out windows, but the moment I turn to face my own body, I get slammed back into my body, and it's frustrating. But I am making progress. The duration, being separate and then slammed back, the duration of that moment is increasing. So that's progress, but it's like half a second, 1 second, but that's better than zero, which is what it was. So I'm making progress on this stuff. This, like, I have to be able to not just astral project and tell you things. I have to be able to prove it. I have to be able to teleport to my friend Matt in the morning and show him that expansion and energy are real. Saying it, maybe he watches these, maybe he doesn't. Saying it is not enough. Even having it be a grounded theory backed up by Gemini is not enough for the world. It's not enough for the rational world. I need proof, and this is the proof I'm looking for. This is the way that I'm looking for it. This is the experiment that I've set up. You will see me tomorrow.